this session is about. I think that traditional approaches have to be sustained with holistic approaches, which are not usually identified or addressed. So, in that sense, we not only treat mental health, but also enhance mental health ahead of time and then preventing the jobs and relationship. Think of it as a spiritual quest.
Will unleash the happiness within us. Next slide, please. I just wanted to go with beliefs. Many of us tend to grow up with very limited view of ourselves, not due to our own faults. It's because the world, imagine in a school, a teacher evaluates students. They only have a single way of evaluating students based on their own rubric. If a student doesn't feel as capable of, but we are capable of extraordinary things. So a powerful cognition would be
fields of psychology, philosophy, medicine, sociology. Of course, mental health is covered very widely through this university. This has been reawakened through our chancellor, who I'm going to talk about in the next, Hinduism. It also has sovereign land as a sovereign state, also functions as a civilizational state and a service-based state, contributing to the communities around, and as a foundational enlightenment ecosystem. Briefly, so mind-body. So treating mental health through the mind is very challenging in that it goes beyond the mind. So efforts to powerfully address mental health have started to look at a mind-body system for individuals out there who may be watching for the masses that can move towards a space of enhanced mental health. So the first topic we're going to talk about is cellular effects of mind-body intervention. So this was a 3-week program called Inner Awakening, again organized by Swamiji and run directly by Swamiji. Involved activities like yoga, meditation, initiations, which we're going to talk about, reduce stress and reduce inflammation, were upregulated, again, 2 to 7-fold. And then there were 2 specific pathways that they noted. One is an anti-aging pathway called GATA2 and BM1 that was upregulated, which shows up in a follow-up genetically young. And many people know about telomeres. It's been very much talked about in the mainstream recently. The telomeres are like the aging system of the cells at the DNA level. When the telomeres in the chromosomes and the DNA get short, then the cell can no longer reproduce. But it was around that time they measured mitochondrial metabolism through a test called the MTT assay, which is a surrogate for cellular viability, which is specifically a product of mitochondrial metabolism. So mitochondria are the organelles inside the cell that create power for the cell, energy for the cell. And so their metabolism was increased. This is actually not a typo. You see it's 967%. It's not a typo, it's really true. Basically 10-fold increase in mitochondrial metabolism of the program. Some of the people in the program had already done similar programs and taken the initiations, and some people were new. So it was a combination. It was a convenient sample because it's through an online program. And then we did a paired and unpaired analysis. So here's what we found. So the total score for US average, total score is around 18. A higher number means more depression, more anxiety, more stress. So you want a low score in this, or better than the US average in terms of anxiety, which again may reflect their previous initiations and their connection with this enlightenment ecosystem and this mind-body approach. But afterwards, even greatly reduced. And stress as well went from 4 to 2 or 5 to 3. Over 14 is stress, and the US average is 8. You can see all these graphs on the left. You can see the line graphs is the pair, really, really profound. And you can see again, if you look at the line graph and the bar graphs, everything's just going up. So really a profound sense. 9 total scores are on physical and mental health. Again, the higher is better. We did just a paired analysis for this, and all of them were improved. Jump. The paired analysis just missed statistical significance. The p-value is 0.51. The trend, I think, speaks for itself, but the unpaired analysis was statistically significant. So again, we see an increase in mindfulness. So then the question becomes, what are these programs? What is special about these programs that's bringing these really remarkable changes at the cellular level? Particularly the mitochondrial assay, you'll never see anything like that. And all the other changes, the stem cells, the telomerase activity, right where that is, that area would light up in the brain when you would activate his third eye, which I think is really fascinating. And then on EEG, which measures brain activity, they found complete control over brainwave activity. He could just control his brainwaves at will. There was another doctor, a neuroscientist named Acosta Urquida, from Sound Health Designs in Wichita, and this was in 2005 and 2006. And they measured studied, because he said there's almost no activity on the EEG as baseline. Means when he was sitting there in a calm state, the brain was just completely quiet electrically. There was very little activity, which we will posit will correlate with a low thoughts per second, very little mental activity. Meditation, there would be a huge surge in gamma waves, which we'll talk about shortly, the significance of gamma waves. But the key part is when he was healing, his right heart of brain would go into what the researcher called extreme gamma activity, which I think is likely to be high amplitude gamma waves, and I'll explain why. But then the person he was healing, when he was doing direct one-on-one healing, they went into the same increase, like the things that we demonstrated earlier. So he was able to transmit it to people he was healing. Some quotes, it said from Dr. Collins that he couldn't believe that he said there's no such thing as normal for you. He couldn't believe that his baseline level of mental activity. They talked about the power of the gamma waves in the mind. They take a huge amount of metabolic activity, but both Swamiji and the person he healed were completely refreshed and energetic afterwards. And the doctor said, if I had done this, I'd be fatigued and sleeping by the time it's over. So for some deep restorative sleep, or if you were like in a coma. Theta waves, these are 4 to 8 hertz. These will correlate if you're in REM sleep, if you're daydreaming, if you're in a deep meditation but not sleeping, or very drowsy. This is what you'll have. Beta waves would be, we'll go to alpha waves here. Alpha waves are the next state. They go from 8 to 12 hertz. This is if you're awake and alert and kind of receptive to the listening state. Many of you guys are in alpha right now. If you close your eyes, you go into heavy alpha waves. And then beta waves would be in populations and individuals who have very little baseline gamma activity. They're much more likely to develop Alzheimer's dementia. In individuals who have a higher baseline, like very low levels, I'm talking that you need a QEEG to detect, they're not going to have dementia, Alzheimer's dementia. And even in animal models, they've showed if they can induce gamma waves, the plaques and tangles that you see at the cellular level of dementia start to get cleaned up. So the idea is that gamma activity can prevent and possibly even treat Alzheimer's dementia. Our Swamiji can himself go into gamma at will, and he can transmit it to others at will, both through healing and through initiation. That itself is remarkable, and it speaks to the power of the programs and how the mental health of whole communities can be uplifted that way. What is even more exciting to me, and I've been personally had the opportunity to do EEGs, some of his very high-level disciples are developing this capacity, which means this level, which we're positing as a space of super consciousness. So I see this as progression in their capacity to reflect this state of consciousness in their spiritual growth. And so they would do this by connecting with Swamiji, connecting to a state of oneness, doing things like blindfold reading and materializing. These are connection to higher consciousness. Yoga pada, yoga and pranayamas and meditations and kriyas will be doing all of these experiential in this presentation. And then knowing pursuit of powerful cognitions means knowing yourself as a very powerful connected being that is worthy of having this life experience and can express this life experience. And one thing that I think is connected,
or in a moment of indecision, I don't know what to do, right? And I want to have clarity of mind. Too many thoughts are running in my mind. I just take a moment to practice this meditation where I unclutch from my thoughts. So I want to take you through this meditation, but let's watch this video briefly. Go ahead, please flip.
Fight, destroy, play with any thinking process in you. That's it. Do not create, sustain, maintain, fight with. You will sit with yourself in a very matured way, highly matured way. Sit with yourself with highest maturity. Creating, maintaining, destroying, fighting, engaging, all thought process.
And so forth. So it's an association of thoughts that creates error. Then you don't associate them, and then they just become random series of thoughts which don't affect you. That's the whole idea. So initially you can use the word unclutch, and but after a little while you can just unclutch without using that word. No. So are you
able to hear it now?
Yes.
unclutch from your thoughts? Close your eyes and unclutch from your thoughts. When you start unclutching from those thoughts, you will start listening to more of your inner sound, like your breathing becomes more visible to you. Sometimes the blood pumping. Next time, just keep unclutching deeper and deeper, and you'll see this deep sense of silence coming in. So it's a great technique. You can try it anytime.
But also pathways or circuits of communication between different brain regions are important. I'm going to be showing how, so at this point, studies in depression, yoga, meditation have poor mental health. And while just by switching over to whole food, plant-based diet, you can make big improvements in mental health. So again, we're highlighting how just lifestyle measures, which cost very little to nothing, such as yoga, meditation, and diet, can make a huge impact. And it could reduce the costs associated with current treatment model based on medications, therapy, which is expensive, medications have side effects. And so we can go on to the next slide. So many studies have been done on depression, looking actually at the brain structure. So we've seen that brain, like MRIs show that there's actually atrophy or loss of brain cells in important areas of the brain, areas which regulate memory, learning, and emotion, like the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, which is really important for attention, planning, judgment, impulse control, the orbital frontal cortex, which is important in regulating our emotions, and it's not only about us, but it's how we bond with. On to the next slide. So what has been really in a way groundbreaking is that initially we thought that brain cells, we have a limited number of brain cells or neurons, and once they're gone, they're gone. But it turns out certain practices, especially yoga and meditation, can actually lead to neurogenesis. We're actually generating new to others, interact with others. All of these areas are very important for that, and these are enhanced with increased amount of brain cells in yoga practitioners. Very interestingly, there's an area of the brain called amygdala, and this is involved in processing fear pathways. This is sometimes called it's a important part of our very primitive brain attention, and controlling the autonomic nervous system, such as the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, parietal cortex, hippocampus, anterior cingulate striatum. These are also involved in emotional processing, some of these areas. Very interesting. Also, imaging studies have looked at the thickness of the cortex. This contains the brain cells or neurons. And it turns out these are thicker in various brain regions listed there. These are regions that are important for emotions, decision-making, learning, memory, and also the ability to monitor ourself, to know what's happening within us and our environment, and as well as having self-awareness about fear and anxiety. Interestingly, I also wanted to mention that in yoga practitioners, they've looked at yoga practitioners over their lifespan, and they tend to have less of the natural loss of brain cells that happen to us as we age. So it's also protective of the released at the time that we're stressed out. You may have heard of the flight or fight response, and so this is released. And unfortunately, what this does also is this leads to a cascade of other events in the body, including more inflammation, which ends up increasing risk for various health problems that we see today, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease. There was a very interesting study they took up people who were depressed and put them through a 12-week program of yoga. And they measured their amount of anxiety.
Healthy gut microbiome. So before we talk about that, we should know what gut-brain axis is. So basically the brain is connected to the gut by a vagus nerve. So what it means is what happens in the gut affects what happens in the brain. So the next question comes is, how can we impact the gut in reducing the anxiety and depression? So this is one impact. And the second impact it does is that it improves the bowel movements. So basically what it does is, since it is high in fiber, so people get relief from constipation. And so there is less of inflammation in the gut lining. So it reduces all the inflammatory bowel diseases and as well as the autoimmune diseases. So in nutshell, basically the healthy microbiome is caused by whole food plant-based diet. Next slide. For the video.
We're waiting for you to quickly go over this slide.
Okay, yeah, so inflammation is higher in some people with depression. Whole food plant-based diet reduces inflammation, antioxidants, phytochemical, and promotes a balanced neurotransmitter system. Elimination of animal foods reduce inflammation and carcinogens, as I was telling you. People who ate raw fruits and vegetables versus cooked or canned fruits and vegetables had significantly improved mood. And as I talked about, processed and packaged food are harmful.
Understand? No, for a very small reason, you fall into depression because your biomemory is prone to depression. Understand, when you are eating the dead animal's flesh, you are also eating.
Are crucial for mental health. And lifestyle changes are critical and sustainable. And objective scientific information now is available showing that yoga and meditation actually expands parts of the brain which are vital for mental health. And the plant-based diet also improves that
But through Swamiji, I came to know about Nirahasamema, which is really a step above that. So essentially, it comprises of taking a liquid diet for almost like 3 weeks. And I was amazed by its benefits. What I realized was, in order to digest the solid food.
But this was something completely different. So I definitely experienced very similar to Dr. Pandav. Of course, there was weight loss, but that feeling of lightness and energy was definitely there. And it turned out it really wasn't as difficult as one thought. You know, after the first day or two, it actually was not difficult to sustain. And definitely the mind was quite.
Every summer, allergic reactions. When I go to the garden, even the lawn, I'm really very bad allergy. So I had to take antihistamine all the time. And it actually affected my work style as well. So it was, I think, about 12 years ago, Swamiji introduced the Nirahara Samyama, 12, 13 years ago. The first time I did the Nirahara Samyama, after that, it's completely gone. I don't take any
and others like Dr. Pandav, all of them discussed, is that it's a simple change in lifestyle can lead to an amazing improvement in mental health, in physical and mental health. And part of changing lifestyle is not only practicing yoga, and unfortunately, we're not going to be practicing any of the yoga asanas today because it's difficult to demonstrate in this particular venue. But we can try a couple of pranayama techniques that can work for you. And these are simple techniques that can cool us down, make us like reduce the anxiety, de-stress us. And so I'm going to teach you a couple of pranayama techniques which will be actually useful later when we go further in this program. Exhale through your nose. You will see that this instantly, you will feel that the feeling of coolness in your chest. It really cools you down to the point like you'll actually feel your body temperature go down by a couple of degrees. The deeper you do the inhalation, the deeper the cooling happens. And you will actually feel it in your chest, in the middle of your chest. If you don't feel it, like try breathing and breathing out, that's one cycle. Do it 21 times. It's very powerful. The next pranayama I'm going to teach you is called Anapana. It's very simple. It's breathing in through one nostril and breathing out through the other nostril. So you start off 7, 8, 9, 10. Now breathe in through your right nostril again. And breathe out for the count of 10 through your left nostril. Anxiety-inducing thoughts. And Swamiji has given this reference. And this reference, you can go search for it online. It's a humming meditation. Essentially what you do is you hum typically, and you will start feeling in the center of your forehead, you will start feeling a constant buzz. And that buzz will start clearing out all the thoughts in your mind. Right? It's a very beautiful technique that just flushes negative thoughts and anxiety from your head and just fills it with the hum that is pure thoughts, nothing else, right? Let's try doing this for a few times. For a while. Done together, they actually have very powerful medicinal, sorry, I won't say medicinal, it's a very powerful effect in cooling the body, right? So we're going to talk about kriyas at the end of this whole session. wait till then to hear a little bit more, but you can search online for Nityananda Kriyas and you will find them. Okay. With this, let's move on to the next section. Okay. Here I'm going to talk about sustainable mental health and AI. I have practiced, AI for a very long time, and I've applied AI to multiple different domains. And most recently, I've applied AI to education. And AI is an amazing area which is useful in mental health. Next slide. And the key challenge here is scale. Like sustainable mental health requires scale, and millions need help with anxiety, mental health access to people. Let's go to the next slide. Today's AI is actually super powerful. It can be very conversational in asking questions and getting answers. And it can be very personal. It can be personalized without storing personal information. And if you have availability, like access to a phone, a smartphone, you're working through today. But if we overcome these challenges, using AI at scale for helping people with mental health is a very powerful solution. With that, I want to say a little bit about Nityananda.ai. This is actually a solution that Nityananda KAILASA has developed as a scalable solution for people to ask questions and get answers. It's very easy. Go to Nityananda.ai, or you can use the barcode that's demo, because it can take time. But here I'm going to show you a demo. This is like a video that I captured on my real demo. I captured a video. For example, I'm asking the question, whenever I even stay at work a little bit late, I notice that I'm very anxious about, right? So it uses these principles to help walk through someone who thinks they are a bad mother because they are spending time at work and not being able to come home. It talks about how being a bad mother or bad wife only is in a self-reflective way, how to introspect into the source of where this challenge comes from. Why do you feel unimportant? Why do you think your sister should do what you want to do, right? And encourages open communication, understanding. Yeah, this next section is about asking for yoga and meditation techniques for de-stressing, and it chooses techniques from scriptures and shares them with you. Anyway, that's the quick demo. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, now I hand it over to Dr.
The incidence of mental illness among women. 1 in 5 women experience a mental health issue every year. Women are diagnosed with anxiety and depression twice as men. 25.7 reproductive health issues like polycystic ovary, endometriosis, infertility can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression. Gender-based violence, women are more likely to experience domestic violence, sexual assault, and emotional abuse. Social pressures and roles, women often face societal expectations this year and 217 million days of work lost. It's a big loss of work, and more women are seeking help but failed outcome. The treatment methods are making people dependent on medication, and more medication, it becomes a vicious cycle. So when we look at the modern day approaches for treatment, it can be varying from psychotherapy to hospitalization. Depending on the severity of the mental illness, actually it's only the symptom relief. The $1 trillion brain drain, that's not sufficiently addressing the mental disorders. And the other treatments like brain stimulation can be used in special situations where transcranial magnetic stimulation can be used for depression. Sometimes hospitalization when women become danger to themselves and others, and also it's an expensive way of treating mental illness. Jurisprudence says where women are worshipped, there the gods region. Let's look at details about each level, how this empowering happening in the Kailasa. These policies are mapped to the Manuvati Dharma Shastra, and Swamiji revived matrilineal society to empower women here. So the political empowerment, Paramashiva declares in Atharva Veda, women should take part. Core indigenous cultural aspect of Hinduism is being revived as part of Kailasa by Swamiji is the mother worship. The matrilineal society that used to exist in ancient Hindu nations. It's very important to know in Kailasa, women are worshipped and revered and have a secure sexual harassment-free ecosystem due to its zero tolerance policy against sexual harassment and exploitation. And it creates the most safest environment for women on planet Earth. At social prominence, Swamiji has worked tirelessly for gender equality, not male child and women to empower them. And Nityananda's Women Foundation, it helps indigenous women to become again financially, to get financial freedom and emotional support. EN Pregnancy is a great program where it supports pregnant women for having a painless delivery and a blissful birthing experience.
Energy can be given the word. Only feminine energy can be given the word, given the title, it's sacred, because when it is awakened, it does so much in your system. And it has nothing to do with your gender. That's the important thing. The gender, male or being female, nothing to do with it. It is something to do with your inner quality. Let me define the sacred feminine. Understand? The extraordinary creativity. Creativity will never be possessive.
I want to share only after being part of the Kailasa, multiple initiations from Swamiji, the multi-dimension of myself that we realize, and also that I want to give a true statement here to all the viewers and listeners to hear that I'm well known for my surgery in my hospital and where I'm right, and I do pray to my Parashakti and Divine Mother Energy to bless all women all over the world with excellent health and bliss, and bless me with the wisdom and energy to serve women always, and Swamiji to bless every woman all over the world. And here, the science of completion, it's one of the solutions for all mental.
This idea into you, you will have too much of resistance, anger, guilt, fear, too many things coming out, and powerlessness. No, this is not for me. First of all, this may not be true. Second, no, this is, even if it is true, not for me. No, this may be true for the people who don't have to work for their food and paying the bills. No, maybe it is true for the people who are sitting in Kailasa and enjoy and do completion. Understand? This is the initiation I am giving to all of you. Sit in front of mirror. Pen down all these patterns and fears and everything. Intensely chant Mahavagya and see the mirror and start reliving this pattern. Start completing. You will see me appearing in the mirror and making you completely complete and making you manifest powerful cognitions and power. To be internally, externally dependent on something else other than Paramashiva. Pen down. Pen down. Sit in front of mirror and start completing all those patterns and incidents, root incidents, everything. Let all the incompletions
year-old experience mental disorders. And another alarming number is 13% of this is a global burden of disease in this age group. And suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds. And 296 million people globally deaths were attributed to drug use. Can we have next slide? So here are the key component. Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Paramasivam, had given solution of supplementing conventional education with Hindu education system, which is mind-body consciousness-based education system, which, and it can be sustainable development. Can we stay on the previous slide? In Hindu education system, basic tools to awaken knowledge are taught, and case studies done on students at Nityananda Gurukul, where Hindu education system is integrated with conventional educational. Here is the result of whole brain activation studies for which Bender Gestalt test was performed. This test assesses visual. On the next slide, we have numbers from Sloan IQ test, which is highly validated intelligent test, measures a variety of capabilities, including in intellectual and mental health, and evidence of whole brain activation and high level of thinking. Policies need to change to integrate such education into conventional curriculum. And of course, as I said, more studies are needed for this evidence, but policies to change and integrate this education into conventional curriculum would be a good, sustainable development. Okay, I hand over to next speaker.
Leader in the study of mental health, of enlightenment, and of superconsciousness. And we very sincerely and formally and informally invite anyone who's interested in researching this possibility, this phenomena that I think is available here in ways it's not been described otherwise. We invite you to collaborate with us to participate in research. Of course, we would appreciate funding. As you can see, there's been remarkable research finding in stress, extreme improvement in well-being, mindfulness, and overall health. That program is ongoing. You can find it at parameshivahom.org. So we invite policymakers, we invite academicians, and other politicians, anyone to contact.
Powerful. And after that, I'll walk you through a very simple kriya for stress relief. But let's start with this one. Please play.
The science of kriyas.
Blood flow, breathing air flow, thought flow. You have something called energy flow continuously happening in you.
Productive circuit and energy circuit. Of these circuits, the energy circuit is governed by the Kundalini energy, though not spoken much by the medical science, but elaborate references have been given. Then you identify and correct the block. Even if the blockage is removed, water has to be pumped in for the flow to resume. Similarly, when there is a block in the energy circuit in the body, there is impedance to energy flow forward, and it results in disease in that particular organ. The Kundalini.
The wiring gets properly aligned. After that, the Kumbhaka starts pumping the energy into that circuit. See, putting your body in certain asana makes the circuit blockage free. The circuit becomes perfect. But if you take, it may take 10 years for you to cure the disease. But mixed properly in certain combination, it removes the disease in 2 days, in one dosage.
The kriyas help to restore.
It's called mantra. Externally, when you listen, it's called chanting. So, mantra, internal verbalization. Fifth, chanting, external, the sound you are hearing. And sixth, Now I am adding Karanas, the different Shivadandava Karanas. Seventh, I am adding the recent discoveries of modern day gymming and weightlifting. So all these 7 put together.
3 steps. It actually builds on top of what we did before, right? Earlier we learned how to do Nadi Shodhana, which is breathe in through one nostril, breathe out through the other nostril, breathe in through that nostril and breathe out. So that with your knees drawn in and your heels touching as close to your body as possible. You just have to look ahead. That's the posture. Peter will show the picture. That's the second step. In that posture, you just hum intensely. And the humming is something I already shared with you before. And so the third step is lie down, and in the bliss of the hum, the humming creates in close to your chest, and then do intense humming. That's for 7 minutes. And then finally, we leave you with the lying down and unclutching. And typically, this combination of these 3, doing this before you go to sleep, is very, very... Play the music to Peter. Thanks. When you unclutch from your thoughts, I hope you all experienced a wonderful, relaxed experience. Like, our goal was not only to provide you with the science, but also provide you with experiential understanding of what Swamiji is trying to do at a very surface level. I mean, there is a lot of depth to the meditation, mind, body, consciousness studies. But we just wanted to share some experiential, some experiences with you, so you can find out for yourself. So I hope you can practice this meditation before going to sleep every day.